July the 9th, after independence. So why did Khartoum suddenly launch an offensive on the 5th of June? The answer is clear. The SPLA would be unprepared. And indeed, if you look at these guys, you know, they're not in uniform, they're sitting there with their guns, but some of these guys are trained soldiers, and they don't even have AK-47s.
The man who leads this rebel force is Abdul Aziz al-Helou, a respected SPLA commander during the Civil War. He was recently narrow defeated in the election for state governor in suspicious circumstances by al-Bashir's candidate Ahmed Haroun, wanted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes in Darfur. I was anxious to meet Abdul Aziz, but he is Khartoum's most wanted man and has not been seen since the war began a month ago. Then we met a man who could help.
Do you think it's going to be possible for us to meet him?
I'm trying.
You try?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Well, that was a bit of luck. That was Said Kocho, who is Abdul Aziz's, basically his adjutant. And he said that he is going to do his best to try and set up a meeting with Abdul Aziz. Obviously, Abdul Aziz has to keep well hidden, has to keep on the move constantly. He is the prime target. So if we can set up that meeting, that would be very, very good indeed.
In fact, Abdul Aziz is lucky to be alive. He was in the state capital of South Kordofan, Kadugli, on the 5th of June, when Khartoum's forces, along with local Arab militias, which they had armed, seized the town. I spoke to one witness who must remain anonymous to protect his family.
In the evening, around 6 o'clock, I heard the gunshot everywhere almost in Kadugli.
So they were opening fire all over town?
All over town now. Everybody was just trying to run for their life.
And the shooting went on?
Day and night.
Abdul Aziz escaped, but al-Bashir's forces had a special message for him.
They have told Abdul Aziz they are going to chase him wherever he is, capture him and kill him.
Several thousand panicking civilians fled to the nearby UN base, which is manned by Egyptian troops, and set up a camp, which can be seen in the top left of this satellite image.
Your family were camped outside the UNMISS camp for protection?
Yeah, for protection. Police come inside the camp and they broken every hand pump there. There were some people whom they are supporting SPLA, and then they taken outside the camp, and then some of them they have been camped.
Did the UNMISS troops do anything to protect the people?
Nothing done by the UNMISS for protection of the civilian there.
Why not?
This is what I want to know.
In fact, there have been several allegations that UN troops stood by while Sudan's armed forces killed and abused locals, but they are impossible to verify because the UN base in Kadugli is unreachable, surrounded by Khartoum's armed forces. So we travelled instead to another UN base in South Kordofan, near the village of Kauda. And there we found something unexpected.
Just over there, and there's another one just over there, is a very large unexploded bomb, one of the bombs dropped by the Antonovs. But what's extraordinary is that 200 metres over there is UNMISS, the UN mission to Sudan. These are soldiers whose job it is to protect local people. They haven't done anything about this, certainly haven't diffused it, or even just blown it up. They haven't come out at all.
Unlike the UN troops at Kadugli, just 90 kilometres away, UN forces here are not accused of standing by while civilians are killed, although of course this area is still held by Abdul Aziz's northern SPLA. To my surprise, the young officers who appeared wore no uniforms. Clearly alarmed and feeling abandoned by the UN, they seemed almost grateful for the opportunity to tell the world about their plight.
Sitting here waiting for something to happen.
Yes.
Yeah?
We're waiting for evacuation, but we don't know any things.
Right, so you don't know when you're going to be evacuated. You don't know what's happening. And in the meantime, you're trapped.
Yeah.
You can't go out on patrol.
No. No battles, no.
Some local people have told us that that you are very unpopular here.
Yeah.
You're very unpopular here.
Yeah.
That it would not be safe for you to go out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it's not safe for you to go out. And also I've been told that the SPLA are in fact protecting you because the SPLA...
Demonstration
and there are people coming here to demonstrate, and the SPLA have put a stop to that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for talking to me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an extraordinary situation and another indictment of the UN's performance here. But has the African Union done any better? Well, at the end of June they did mediate what was called a framework agreement between Abdelaziz's SPLM here in the north and the Khartoum government.
Now, this agreement contained a number of high-sounding generalities, but probably 2 or 3 key points. The first was that the SPLM accepted that their future lay here in the north. The second point, perhaps rather surprisingly, is that Khartoum accepted that the SPLM had the right to exist as a political party. In other words, they were not simply a bunch of rebels. Probably the third key point was that there was talk of disarmament, and it said any disarmament would be done peacefully and by agreement. But there's a problem with that, and the problem is up there in the sky and just a few kilometres over there towards Kadugli. The problem is that there is no sign of any disarmament anywhere. This war is still going on.
Next morning, word came through from the SPLA that we should get ready to move. We set off at speed, as always, eyes open for jet fighters from above. Even now, at the very start of the rainy season, it's clear how quickly an army could get bogged down.
Well, this would be a good time for the mix to come.
In one village, we came across more evidence of the bombing of civilian targets and the graves of 8 recent victims.
This is a civilian area. There's no excuse at all for dropping a bomb here.
Eventually, we arrived at a secret location in the mountains. And then, from the darkness, Abdelaziz himself appeared. Given the risks, his decision to take part in a filmed interview was significant.
How is the war going, from your point of view?
We have liberated over 61 garrisons and outposts. We have liberated them totally from the National Congress Party forces. And we have over about four counties free from NCP. And even Kadugli County is now free except Kadugli Town.
But the forces are not balanced. I mean, I've seen some of your soldiers who have no uniform, who have no guns. And against you, you have the forces of the SAF, they have heavy artillery, they have MiGs, they have Antonovs. Can you win this war?
You see, this is a war of liberation. The people of Nuba Mountains are determined to liberate themselves from the oppression. Even if there is superiority in the side of the NCP, it means nothing, because we are defeating the NCP forces on the ground.
What about the UN?
Everybody here in the state believes that they are supporting SAF. In the presence of the unanimous forces, the National Congress security elements, they come and pick people just because of their political affiliation to the SPLA, and they shoot them. They shoot them in front of the unanimous, and sometimes they even facilitate. They identify this is an SPLA.
That's a very serious charge. Are you saying that the UN forces, the Egyptian UN forces, are actually collaborating with the Khartoum government, or are you saying...
Yes, they are cooperating, they are collaborating with the NCP security.
What do you expect from the UN?
We just want them to act as a third party, as a neutral body. If there is any cessation of hostilities, they have to act as monitors, but neutral monitors. Also, we want no-fly zone to be imposed. We want also a relief for the needy people in the Nuba Mountains, and they should not pay attention to Khartoum's threats.
The framework agreement, which was recently completed in Addis Ababa, if you read the agreement, you see that on the one hand it says that the SPLM accepts that its future is in the north under Khartoum. Equally, you see that the agreement says that the Khartoum government accepts the legitimacy of the SPLM as a political movement within the north. These are not realistic statements, are they?
Actually, for us, we believe that we are part of the North. But we want a new government. We want fundamental change in Khartoum. We want restructuring of the central government so that each region, each state is represented in the center according to its weight. If we want a new Sudan, built on a new basis of justice, of equality, of freedom.
But if you forgive me, that sounds a bit like what John Garang would have said 8 years ago. Realistically, do you believe that that is possible, or do you think that ultimately you will end up, as did the South, fighting for independence?
Actually, we want a new Sudan. A new Sudan built on a new basis. But if that becomes impossible, then we opt for self-determination. We want self-determination for all the Sudanese people. We are aspiring for unity of all the marginalized people. We are actually inviting, you see, the Blue Nile, the Darfurians, the Bija, the far north, like the people of Kajabar Dam and the rest, to come under one umbrella, and we defeat Khartoum.
And with that, Abdulaziz left, and so did we, for the long drive back. It had been a remarkable interview, nothing less than a call to arms to every group in northern Sudan which stands opposed to the regime of Omar al-Bashir. The next morning, in yet another village compound, we woke to the sound of an Antonov.
It's just after 6 in the morning, and we just heard the sound of the Antonovs over there. People were quite concerned, people were jumping in the bunker. Then the quality of the noise changed, and people here said that means they started to bomb. There's more bombs. Yeah. Oh, whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah. More than 7 at once. Yeah.
And then, as if on cue, Omar al-Bashir began a broadcast to the nation.
What Omar al-Bashir was saying there on the radio was that he was warning that they are already capturing any Nuba who've travelled, who have escaped from this region and have travelled up to Khartoum. They're being captured, and they're being told they must either fight for the SAF, come back here and fight for the government forces, or if they don't, they'll be regarded as rebels and treated accordingly. He's certainly ramping up the pressure, and of course we can hear it, because actually while we're listening to that, we can hear the bombs going off just over there.
But Antonov or not, we had to leave. We had a rendezvous with a plane to take us out.
The commander yesterday was very careful to stress that he doesn't feel any sense of betrayal by the South. But for these guys here who fought so hard for that freedom and are now still fighting for their own, there's no doubt that they must regard the celebrations down in Juba for their independence with a certain amount of cynicism. We've just heard the sound of an Antonov quite clearly, and we've been told to disperse. The trucks have all moved and gone under cover. That's coming this way. Yeah, people are running. Okay, let's move.
It is an unpleasant experience, but a powerful reminder that while the people of southern Sudan may be celebrating, the war in South Kordofan is only just beginning.
This is just the nearest low piece of ground, so we'll just stay here and hope that nothing hits us.
5 minutes later, our plane appears in the sky. We can get out, but for the people we leave behind, there is no such luxury.